is living in your car worth it? Because if you noticed on TikTok and on Instagram and sometimes on YouTube, there's been this trend of people deciding they tired of paying rent, they can't pay rent, they gotta get out of debt. So they've basically either given up their apartment. Most of the people that are on these platforms don't say they had to. They're saying it's by choice. I don't know whether it is or not. I'm not even getting into that, but they have decided that they rather live in their car than pay bills and be in debt. So there is an Instagrammer that I follow. His Instagram name is No Casa. Casa in English is no home. Let's see what No Casa is talking about.
Day one of me living out of my car. Well, not really. This is day one of me documenting it. I've been living out of my car for just about 8 months now. Last year, I had a couple of startup businesses that failed, and it accumulated to nearly $20,000 worth of credit card bills and IOUs. Analyzing the situation, I realized with an average interest of 27.84%, I'd be stuck in debt for at least a decade just by paying the minimums. And I'm not letting that happen. So I got a car, and now I'm living in it. And day by day, I'm hustling to pay this debt off. And we've made progress. Right now, I'm at $13,357 left to pay off. And honestly, I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. My new goal is to have this all paid off within 100 days, utilizing social media to increase my income. Some say it's impossible, and I say, yeah, until I do it. Follow for more Out the Mud content.
So this is No Casa. Let's show his, give some credit to the creator, No Casa 99. Follow him. He is on Instagram and TikTok. So No Casa is a young guy that's decided that he is going to get out of debt and is going to live in his car until he gets out of debt. What do you think about that?
Well, it really depends on the person. I mean, he wants it bad, right? He really wants to pay his debt, but it really depends on how bad you want it.
Okay.
I personally wouldn't do that because I like the comfort of my spot. I like my bed. I wouldn't say I live like that, but I've been in a period of my life where I was bouncing from motel to hotel, sort of. But you're still in the confines of a tu casa, right?
Su casa, right.
But as far as his living in the car, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't do that. What's your take on that?
I mean, for me, sometimes I ain't gonna lie, when times be getting rough and you be looking at all these damn bills and you be looking at your income, especially when you are, between jobs, between contracts, or think you have unexpected expenses and you just get frustrated that you have all this stuff going on. You be like, man, at this point, I'd rather save this X amount of stacks and live in my car for a few months just so I can, because especially when you have a 9-to-5, you are in a you're on a treadmill because you don't make enough money to really get out of debt, but then you make just enough money to pay what you can pay and might have a little bit extra. And, you get, for me anyway, because I've been in the workforce for a while, you just get tired. Like, man, all this life you go, you live to pay bills. And so you're like, all right, let me cut some bills, and especially as an adult, you ain't nobody paying unless you are kind of a pookie or a princess. Ain't nobody paying no bills for you. If you're a pookie or princess, it's different. Either you're gonna get 3 squares a day, or you're gonna be able to be a homosexual and move on in with somebody. And then if you're decent chicks, some dude to move you in. So speaking of some dude move you in, I don't know if you remember, I'm a little older than you, so I remember. I'm old. I'm too young for the Supremes, but Destiny's Child is not the best female group of all time, in my opinion. The best female group of all time is En Vogue. And I tell you, when I was young, I was obsessed with En Vogue.
The songs.
I was damn the songs. For me, it was the look. I used to love all 4 of them. So this is back when Giving Them Something You Can Feel. That's the dresses they wore in that video. I strongly remember that. And I was obsessed with her, and I was obsessed with the 2 on the end. But this lady was my second favorite member of En Vogue. She wasn't my favorite. She was my second. She's been in the news lately. For a while, this is all four of them together, after the prime of their career. And as you see, they're still very good looking. Again, these are my two favorites. Usually this is most people's favorite, but these two are my favorite. Dawn Robinson has been in the news lately, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to let her talk about it, why she's been in the news. And this will jump right into our current topic.
Hey, hello in every language. Oh my gosh, life was lifing and I had to deal with it like we all do. I'm glad to be back. I'm still on cloud 9017 from episode 5 because I did that on my own and I'm still just knocked out about it. Wow. Anyway, and I'd like to start this episode with a quote from Bren Brown. It's, I think, Brene Brown. Bren said, being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of courage because you show up not knowing the outcome. You show up not knowing the reaction people are going to have and what they're going to feel about it or how you're going to be judged. But because you're a celebrity and what if they judge you? And I'm like, okay, what if? What if they judge me? So what? We're all judged. Life is life. And it was like nobody has stepped or walked 5 steps in my stilettos. So real. And it's okay. It's like part of being human is to be vulnerable. I'm human first. I don't care about celebrity. I don't care about being a woman. You guys, for the past almost 3 years, I have been living in my car. I said it. Oh my God, it's out. I've been living in my car. Oh my gosh. If you remember, if you guys were with me, in 2020, I did like 105,000 interviews. And in the interim, I was living with my parents in Vegas. And that was wonderful until it wasn't. I love my mom, but she became very angry. And a lot of her anger, she was taking out on me, and I was her target all the time. And I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I respect her too much. I didn't understand it. I still don't. And it hurt me. So I was just trying to figure it out, but I couldn't. You can't read someone else's mind. You can't figure them out. They got to figure themselves out. So I was like, let me get out of here. And I was sleeping in my car for maybe about a month in Vegas. And then the guy that was co-managing me at the time was living in LA. And he said, you need to come back to LA because it's getting ready to be fire in Vegas. You need to come back. I love LA. So I said, okay. And he said that I could stay with him. And so I was like, okay, but you have a dog, I have a dog. Do we have, and he's like, I don't have a lot of room, but I'll make room for you. And then when I got to his place, he actually didn't have room for me. So it turned into, okay, well, I'm going to put you in a hotel for the night. And that one night turned into 8 months. Oh my God, you guys. I was like, no, this is unacceptable because all
right, I'm going to pause it, but the story goes on and on as to why a Grammy Award winning artist and performer is now, if she's not 50, I think she's over 50 actually. Why a woman that has, basically dominated the 90s.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, she left En Vogue. She couldn't get along with them. She left Lucy Pearl, remember Dance Tonight?
Yep.
Remember? So that's 2 groups.
Yep.
She left her husband. Now she's saying her mama angry. So we got 4 instances of people.
Who's the problem?
And there only seems to be one common denominator.
Yep.
But none of this is her fault. We all know that, right? Because that's the way modern society is. It's never her fault, right? All right, so I'm going to show you this next one. Now, this is her ex-husband.
Big fit for Hilton Brands. Andre spoke about Dawn's reunion with En Vogue before things ended, but he also spoke on how leaving the music industry helped save his life. Andre says he has loaned many of his friends and colleagues money, and he has seen some pass in poverty. However, he doesn't want that for Dawn. Andre believes that Dawn's charisma and great personality based from the music industry will make real money in this hospitality industry, driving in sales. Dawn will still be able to keep in contact with industry friends, record music, and tour. Based on her position, Andre will offer free medical and PTO to continue her career. Andre claims he's offered this before, but now he's adamant that Dawn takes this offer. Our team is currently working on a deep dive about Dawn's life and career.
So in other words, she's refusing because it's coming from her ex-husband. she doesn't want help because he went on a whole long rant about, they're not together and, she's a great person. But again, as we see right here, the common denominator is herself and zero accountability. So that was a lot to digest. What do you, how do you parallel No Casa versus Don Robinson's both choosing to live in their car, so they say?
Well, you have one person that actually has the game plan, right? He has a specific game plan on how he wants to eliminate debt, right?
Yep.
Then you have another person who has dealt with a lot of accountability issues because it's always somebody else's fault, right? And due to the actions of her lack of accountability resulted to, hey, I got to live in my car. So two different, same thing, but two different reasons.
Yeah.
And, as I was, because I looking at the story and I'm listening, I'm like, wait, your songs are fire to this day. Are you not getting no royalties? I mean, what is going on here? I mean,
well, the thing is, you got to remember in the music industry, they, En Vogue was singers. They were not songwriters. They were not producers.
That's true.
So, and they had to split their what's called points out of 100, which I believe artists typically only get like 10 or 20 points, basically 10-20% out of their song. And I had to split that by 4, right? So artists typically make real money, performers, not those ones that write and produce. They typically make their money on the road. That's why these artists still are on the road in their 50s and 60s and 70s. And
that 80s. Makes sense. I don't look. I'm ignorant to the music industry and how the business works. So it makes sense why you still see Keith Sweat on the road. I'm like,
well, because you got to remember, Teddy Riley makes more money than Keith Sweat on Keith Sweat's records, because Keith Sweat's records that are hits are the ones Teddy Riley wrote and produced. Why do you think Babyface has so much money? Why do you think Diddy has so much money? Why do you think R. Kelly has so much money? Not because they're performers, because they're writers and producers.
Just like our buddy.
Why do you think Prince and Michael Jackson has so much money? Why do you think Whitney didn't have nearly the amount of money neither one of them had? Why? Because she didn't write or produce any of her songs. Why do you think Beyonce has so much money? Because she writes and produces a lot of her own songs. So it's different. Why do you think Missy has so much money? Because she's wrote a ton of music, wrote and produced a ton of music. So you got to remember, and that's why a lot of rappers make more money than R&B singers, because at least they write their own lyrics. So they at least have 2 of those parts. If they are not producers, they at least write and perform. But when you're a singer or just an artist, you only make 1 of those. And I'm not even including the money from the record company and the promoters and all that stuff. I'm just saying the points on the royalties.
Okay.
And so that was one of Angie Stone's issues.
Oh, I was going to get into that. And why?
Yeah, that's going to be another topic for another day. But that's one of Angie Stone's issues, why she had to work on the road in her 60s, because she got Universal screwed her out of her royalties that she should have been getting. Because she don't own her own masters, they kind of controlled it, and paperwork was filed wrong and all kinds of stuff. So she had to work as an older performer that has been in the industry for 30 years to pay bills.
Oh my God, I'm just playing with them now, yeah. Oh my God, what she saying, say it loud, yeah. I can't respect it, I'm in the gym, but I am not flexing. Came from a Ford, I'm needing a Lexus. Shooting like Luke, I told him I'm next, shit. Oh my God, I'm just